Aloha mai kākou. Welcome to the 14th installment of the Ke'o Center for Sustainable Island Food Systems Brown Bag Speaker Series event. Mahalo for joining us as we continue our deep dive into food hubs in Hawaii, this time focusing on the physical and social infrastructure essential for building a more resilient, equitable local food system. My name is Ioane, and on behalf of the center, I want to thank today's speakers and all of you for contributing to this important conversation. Please scan the QR code on the current slide to visit our website. And if you don't have time, don't worry, I'll also be posting it into the chat as we progress. I'll drop links as well to resources, articles, and speaker contacts in the Zoom chat during the session. And a recording will be emailed to all registered attendees within a few days after we wrap this up and process the video. A little bit about the Ke'o Center. The center's initiative of the University of Hawaii system, co-directed by Dr. Noah Lincoln and Dr. Albie Miles. Our mission is to strengthen Hawaii's food systems through food security and justice, ecological sustainability, education, storytelling, policy, cross-sector collaboration, and community partnerships. The series was created really to bridge gaps, share stories from the field, and build alignment around the most pressing food systems issues in Hawaii. So across Hawaii, food system work is vibrant but often fragmented. And our long-term vision is to really understand how the UH system can best support food systems transformation in service of the people and lands of Hawaii. In some of our broader work, the center engages in applied research and data analysis, community education and events, policy monitoring and advocacy. And we feel that by convening practitioners, policymakers, and educators, we're helping shape Hawaii's path to greater food sovereignty. So please check out our website and see some of the other things that we're doing. Okay, today we're doing Food Hubs Part 2, building the necessary physical and social infrastructure for a resilient food system in Hawaii. Building on some of our previous discussions about agricultural cooperatives and food hub resilience, today's session turns to the retail-driven food hubs that underpin Hawaii's food system. Food hubs are more than aggregation and distribution centers. They are critical infrastructure that keeps local food moving, especially during crises. Each speaker today will give a 15 to 18-minute presentation from their organizational perspective. And I encourage all of our guests to please use the Zoom Q&A feature to submit any questions at any time. And after presentations, time permitting, we'll have presenters address the questions posed by audience guests. We've framed this today around an article from Farcales and Lincoln from 2021. And some of the key findings from that article were that food hubs scaled rapidly during COVID-19, outperforming conventional supply chains. And they serve Hawaii's agriculture of the middle, connecting small and mid-scale farmers to institutional and retail markets. And it was found that food hubs prioritize local ownership, trust building, and community empowerment. So some of the guiding questions for today consist of asking, what are the most significant infrastructure gaps limiting Hawaii's local food system? What kind of social infrastructure, trust networks, partnerships, workforce are most critical to resilience? And how can food hubs be better integrated into disaster response and long-term food systems planning? So I just want to introduce today's panel. We're honored to welcome 3 leaders shaping Hawaii's food hub landscape. First up, we have Maureen Datta. She's co-founder of Adaptations, Inc. on Hawaii Island. Then we have Steve Phillips, founder of Local Harvest Maui. And then we have Jane Oka, Director of Operations, FarmLink Hawaii, Oʻahu. I'm sorry, Jane Adams. I apologize. So without further ado, please go ahead and start your presentation, Maureen.
Aloha, everyone. I don't have a formal presentation. I've never been good with that, but I really like to interact with folks and have lots of questions and answers. So I'll just start with some background about our food hub and how we got started. My husband Tane and I have an organic farm that's certified organic in South Kona. It's 7.5 acres, and we have diversified orchard, greenhouses, and raised beds and pots. We don't have soil, so everything we grow is in some kind of container or orchard. We formed our food hub in 1993. Officially, we created a S corporation and chose to do that instead of a co-op because the other farmers who we were working with just really didn't have time for organization and didn't care to get into the nitty-gritty of supply chains. So they just trusted us to make good decisions. And we started with 3 farmers, and we now buy from about 230 farms every year. So over the 34 years that we've been operating as a food hub, we've just really grown incrementally and slowly as we can. We bootstrapped the business, didn't have any big funding, so everything kind of grew in stages. But I'm happy to say that I'm in my office today in a building that we own in Kealakekua. We purchased it 3 years ago. And I have to say that owning our own building has been the most empowering thing that I've experienced for developing our business. Having that kind of autonomy really makes a difference. And we have 135 solar panels on the roof. So we have a net metering agreement, and that enables us to not worry about the cost of our walk-in cooler and our freezer and our freeze dryer and the air conditioning and everything else that happens in the building. Our bill is about $400 a month at this point, which is pretty remarkable for a 4,000 square foot building. We also started, like I said, bootstrapping. We never really had big, deep pockets. So we just operated as we could in a very, loose business model, just 2 hippie farmers doing our best to get food to where it's supposed to go and keep our promises. And now we've, had a lot of support recently in the last 5 years. We've had a lot of grants and collaborations with other groups that are financing local food systems. And it's nice to see that what we pioneered so long ago is gaining traction and support from the legislature and from food funders. So our infrastructure, we have, a 30 by 40 foot walk-in cooler. We're in a former courthouse, and the largest room in the building is where we put our walk-in cooler because that's what we bring to the party is cold storage. We really try to continue a cold chain from the moment we receive the product, either in our refrigerated vans. We have 5 delivery vans that are refrigerated that we go around the island and we pick up from farms and pick up locations. A lot of the farmers deliver to us directly, but maintaining that cold chain is really important. It's probably the #1 way to have a good shelf life and deliver quality. By visiting farms, we're able to interact directly and maintain those relationships. And really, the whole business is cultivating relationships with our customers, with our suppliers, with our growers, with all the food producers we work with. Our workforce is very important. We have 8 full-time employees and 7 part-time employees. Many of them work on both the farm and the hub in order to get those full-time hours. Sometimes it takes a lot of flexibility. Most of our workers have different types of jobs each day. One might, have 1 or 2 days on the farm, be a delivery driver another day, and also receive, pack, and do order fulfillment. So we have a lot of, what do they call it? Army knives, right? Where people can use all the tools at their command and have a very varied job description. So we also partner with commodity forwarders, CFI. They pick up from us and facilitate inter-island shipping. We we make our own chill packs, and we freeze those, and then we're able to insert them into packages and make sure that the packages are cold for 24 hours, and we ship that through FedEx. They pick up at our door and deliver to the customer's door, which is really handy. We also use Aloha Air Cargo and Young Brothers for, those items that have a longer shelf life and are hardier. So that kind of infrastructure and collaboration really helps us to focus on food and not the logistics as much. And so I I really value those relationships, and we try to anticipate potential conflicts and try to offset the increased cost of the inter-island shipping um, by negotiating with our partners, both customers and growers, to try to find a finesse price that works for everyone. Um, I always want to get the best return to our farmers. We are committed to 70% of the food dollar going to the farmer, and we really do stick with that. So we have lots of different income streams as well, which I think helps enormously. Um, with the success of our food hub, we have an online CSA program where members put money up front and they open an account and give us seed money, basically. So that actually provides about $50,000 of operating capital at any given time. And it's a unique way of setting up an online marketplace where people are putting money up front in their account, and then as they shop, their budget, their balance, drops accordingly, and then they can set up auto pay. But that kind of support is the root of community-supported agriculture, where it started in Japan, where literally farmers would ask for help in buying seeds, and that's why it was called seed money. So that money being put up front really helps with our operations. That's been a crucial support for us. And like I said, having our own building now is enormous. I mean, of course, we have a mortgage, but it's something that we have a lot more control over, and that's been really essential. During COVID, we lost, we went from about 86 wholesale accounts to 6 wholesale accounts in the course of 2 weeks in March of 2020. But during the same time, our online CSA exploded from 125 families to 450 families. So we had to pivot really quickly and stop selling, pallet loads of cases and start breaking those cases and breaking them down into portions for families. So it required a lot more packaging and a lot more labor. And we were actually hiring during COVID, and we created an adaptations bubble of about 10 core employees who were primarily just portioning produce and helping to do those order fulfillments. And we had to shift. Most of our pickup sites had shut down, so we had to find new ones that were open and willing to serve. But it was tremendous to see the community response to that. So I think, in the case of disruption, whether it's COVID or 2008 when the economy melted down, or 9/11, all of those major disruptions really just meant that we had to lean into our local relationships and create new systems really quickly. And so it's been interesting because with the feeding programs that emerged during COVID, we were able to shift food that was destined for the visitor industry to our local Kama'aina, which is kind of where our heart's always been, and we've always wanted to support that market above all else. So having those feeding programs in place, especially because they mandated 60% local sourcing, that was essential in having us pivot the food destined for visitor industry to Kama'aina. So we were sending pallet loads of food over to Kahumana Food Hub, who had the contract with the food bank, who was, had the contract with the federal government. And so all of that funding from the federal government, state and county government went to support all these farmers who we had committed to. And we were able to shift that pretty quickly. We learned a lot. We recently just did a DOE box program with the Hawaii Food Hub, and we had a nice budget for those boxes. So it let us try new products that we hadn't tried before. So we were able to bring in new products from Local Harvest, from Steve Phillips on Maui, from farmers around the island. We could reach out and try new things that we couldn't really think we could afford before. We extended ourselves. We were working with growers who we normally, might not feel like the pricing was going to work. But because we tried it and then we had overflow, then we could try it in the CSA and we saw, oh, the customer is actually accepting this price. They're supporting these local wheats or cabbages. And so that was kind of a broadening for us. We've learned a lot by working with feeding programs that I hadn't really anticipated. We developed new relationships with food sources that we hadn't really thought to reach out to previously. How am I doing on time? I'm not really sure where I'm at.
You're good. You've gone about 10 minutes so far, Maureen.
Okay. I'd really like to open it for questions if anyone has anything. I don't see anything in the Q&A. But maybe I can cede my remaining minutes to Steve or whoever's next, and then we can come back and talk about whatever is of interest to folks.
Sure, if that's what you have for a presentation so far, we can just move on to Steve, and then if anything else comes up and we have time on the back end, we can address some other things.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks, Maureen. That was very inspiring. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to share my screen. Let's try. Okay, share. There we go. All right, it worked. I'm not so good at this kind of thing either, but we'll see how it goes.
You're doing awesome.
So go on to the first slide. So local harvest, we started back in 2011 and just have been growing step by step because there's such a need for local food and such an interest in that area of becoming more sustainable in our food supply. So at this point, we're at about a little over 4 million in sales per year and growing. It's just we started like with nothing really. There was no grant money available at that time, and we just I started with my wife's minivan and just driving around picking up fruits and vegetables from farms and writing them a check on the spot. Eventually had to borrow $500 to be able to pay some of the growers, but that's the only investment we made. All the rest just came as we went along. This shows some of the different parts of our business. We have our local harvest wholesale, which is over 100 accounts, and buy from about 150 growers, mostly on Maui, but some other islands as well. And then we have our Suffolk Kitchen value-added products. We sell about 30-some products, mac nut spreads, salad dressings, nut butters, salts, local salt. And then we have Napili Farmers Market. It's currently 3 days a week in North Maui. Yeah, it's been a very popular part of the island here in Napili. Then we also have Island Fresh Delivery, which delivers about 200 boxes a week to homes. And we have Local Harvest Market, which is a new store just opening. And it's going to have a cafe, a vegetarian cafe inside also. And that should be any day. We're going through the permitting process, which is a lot of fun, by the way, if anybody wants to try it. Then we are starting our own little farm called Aina Ulu Farm, which will be around 5 acres, right next to the Napili Farmers Market. And then all these parts of the business kind of work together, and it gives us a lot of avenues to distribute the food that we get from the farms. Now, whatever we get, we can usually put through one of these avenues. I'll go on. That's one of our trucks. We have 2 box trucks like that and 4 vans that are out delivering 4 days a week on the island. And we also ship to 4 other islands. That's a shot of our farmers market down below. So how do we bridge the infrastructure gaps? What are some of the gaps? We've been able to step by step get the infrastructure that we need as a food hub. You know, I know there's other hubs still trying to get up to that point. Basically you need warehouse storage, you need trucks for delivery, you need coolers, freezers, all these things. And since we've had gradual growth, we've been able to add what we needed along the way. But I think the farms need more infrastructure than we do here on the island. You know, most of them don't have coolers, they don't have refrigerated trucks. They'll just load up their truck early in the morning and drive it down to us, and then we put it in our cooler, and then we deliver it in cooled trucks. We'll get into that a little bit more. I mean, the farms do need, well, their infrastructure, they need land, for one. They need, let's see what we got here. Yeah, anyway, they need land, they need irrigation, they need water, they need delivery trucks, they need machinery, equipment, so many things. And it's not cheap, you know, I mean, you need quite a bit of money to be able to get all those things to start out on a farm. So what are the social infrastructure gaps? Well, you know, it always helps to have good policies in government that support farming and local food distribution. One thing we had been thinking is that it would be great if local food had no tax. You know, I mean, taxes could end up to be a good amount of money, and why not encourage people to buy local by making it tax-free? And then we need support from nonprofits whenever there's food that needs to be distributed to those in need. We recommend it going through the food hubs because the system is already set up and we don't want to harm that system because we need it for the long term. We also need public support. You know, people talk about local food and the importance, but they don't always make the effort to go and buy it. You know, there's a lot of ways you can buy local food through farmers markets or home delivery. You know, we asked your supermarket and your restaurant that you go to where's their local food? You know, tell them you want it. If you want it, they'll get it. Then we've had quite a bit of support from the Department of Education lately with the boxes that we've been making up 300 boxes a week to distribute to people in need. But also they could be buying more local food for their cafeterias. That's kind of starting on a small scale, and by 2030 it's supposed to be like 30%, I think, of their purchases. But it's not moving very quickly at this point. Another big gap I see is in value-added products. I mean, when you look at how many value-added products there are on the shelf in the stores, it's not much. You know, I've gone into the stores here on Maui and asked where their local products are. And you know, some stores may have like, you know, 10,000 products on the shelf. And they showed me like 11 products, you know, that were made locally. So I would say definitely less than 2% of the products, value-added products on the islands are from the local islands. And why is that? You know, well, it's fairly costly to get started if you're going to sell to stores. I mean, if you're just doing it to farmers markets, you can sell direct and you don't have to have too much equipment on a small scale. But when you think about what we have here on Maui, we have the Food Innovation Center. It's beautiful, you know, they have all this wonderful equipment, very costly. I don't know how many millions of dollars they put into that. So you can go there, people can go there and get their training on how to make these products and what kind of equipment. But then when they go out on their own, how are they going to afford that? You know, so I think we need a second step in that system where we have the equipment available that people can go in and pay a small rent to use it, and then be able to package their product in an efficient manner so they can provide distributors and retailers with their product. And then commercial kitchens, you know, it's very expensive to rent a commercial kitchen, and there's not that much available. So if the government wants to put some money into something, I'd say build some good commercial kitchens with some good equipment, and we can make a dent in that percentage of local products. You know, we should be 50%, not 2%. And what about digital infrastructure? We're probably the worst at that, but you know, we have made efforts to have some online ordering. I mean, we do definitely for our home delivery business, and we have an online ordering for our packaged products. For wholesale, it's been more difficult. We are setting up one for Spotify, and customers can order on that, but it's been difficult to mesh that with our QuickBooks, our bookkeeping system. And I'll explain that in a minute, but we have CSAware for our home delivery platform. But we've created a lot of our own internal systems because we have a very unique packaging system. You know, we don't print out an order for a customer and then go all over the warehouse finding each item. What happens is a pallet of zucchini comes in, and we pack all that zucchini for 40 customers or however many. And then we have a pallet of broccoli, we have a pallet of lettuce, on down the line, you know, maybe 40, 50 items. We pack by item, and most of the systems aren't developed in that way. But this enables us to bring in most of the product in the morning and ship it all out in the afternoon, because we don't wait for anything. We get it, we pack it, and it's out the door, on the truck, out the door. Okay. So what about disaster response? Well, I think it's been working pretty well here on Maui. We did have some issues in the beginning after the Lahaina fire, where a lot of the nonprofits, some of the nonprofits were going direct to the farms, skipping the food hub. And it was a very inefficient system. They were doing their own deliveries and pickups, and where the system was already there, you know. So then they switched over to buying through the hub. Then we were able to buy from the farms, keep supporting the farms so that they had a market for their items, even though a good portion of the island restaurants were closed, and some went way down in business because tourists weren't coming to the island. But that all switched over to the nonprofits. So we were able to not only maintain the level we had, but increase it. So everyone increased their sales, and the nonprofits were getting plenty of money to support that. We got a lot of help from World Central Kitchen, Hungry Heroes Hawaiʻi, Common Ground Collective, Maui Food Bank, etc. Here's some shots of the farmers market, free farmers market that we did sometimes 3 times a week in Kanapali after the fire, where we thousands of pounds, you know, at least 3,000 pounds each time, probably 9,000 pounds a week. Plus we were doing 10,000 pounds a week to nonprofits that did most of their own deliveries. And then for places that prepared ready-to-eat foods. But this shows the food that we're giving out. We usually had 100 people or more waiting in line when we opened, and everybody got a good amount of food. So what about hub to hub? That's been working well in the last 2 or 3 years. It enables us to sell a lot of the abundance that we have on Maui that we can't sell it all here, but we can ship it to other islands. and they can in turn offer a better selection to their customers. And then if we need food from another island, we can check with a hub on another island. So it's great to have those relationships between the hubs, make a big difference. And as far as policy making, well, I don't know how much they could, well, yeah, there's always things they can do, but staffing is a big issue, not for us. You know, we have the staff we need, and it just seems that the right people come along at the right time and that want to help in this kind of important work. So we've always had enough staff. We've had people there for 10 years or more. But housing on farms would be very beneficial. The farms have a hard time getting enough workers. They have to compete with the hotels that sometimes pay more and the work is easier. You know, it's not that easy to work on a farm, but if they could get free housing, even if they got a smaller salary, if they had the housing, it'd be great because housing is so expensive on the islands. Government grants, you know, we've never depended on grants. We have gotten grants the last couple of years, which has been helpful to get us to move faster. But the farms would welcome more grants, you know, to be able to expand the farm, not take so many risks with their own investment. And incentives to buy local, you know, whatever we can think of to encourage people to buy local, because when it's out there and people aren't buying it, that's not good. So like I said about the tax thing, if there was no tax on local food, we do have the food stamp program, the Bucks program where they cover half the cost of the food, and that's been a great thing as well. So I would say, finish up here, that the main focus right now should be the farmer. I mean, I checked a year or two ago on how much we lost in sales because we couldn't get the product, and it was about 40%. So, you know, if we can produce more food, we can sell more food. And even if it's too much food, we'll find a way and we'll encourage more people to buy food. But if all of a sudden everyone started buying local food, we would be way short. You know, we'd be about 80% short. So the focus right now needs to be with the farmer, and also encouraging people to buy local whenever possible. And we need to start with ourselves, you know. You got to ask yourself, are you buying local food as much as you possibly can? I mean, my diet is 95% local, and it wouldn't be that hard for people to do that because it's available. And I think encouraging businesses and people, nonprofits, to buy through your food hub makes a more efficient system. We don't really want farmers going all over the island for their own farm. You know, you may have 100 farms driving all over the island to deliver to their customers. Why not just take it to the food hub and have them, all that stuff put on one truck or two trucks and then drive it around? Now, there's many times when we have too much of something, like when it's in season. Maybe we'll have too much mangoes or too much dragon fruit, star fruit, whatever it is. So I think having a better way to preserve those items through freezing, canning, drying, etc., so that rather than have the item 3 months out of the year when it's in season, you can have it most of the year. So that would be another way to build up the local food availability. So thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, please let me know.
All right on. Thank you so much, Steve. What a great presentation and just such beautiful work you're doing out there.
Thank you.
And I think you know, like, I think you have a lot of great ideas around policy, honestly. It sounds like, you know, people could advocate for, getting, bills proposed towards some of your ideas. You have some really great ideas. Wondering, do you ever work with any lobbyists or people working in food systems policy?
I don't. I just I have way too much to do as it is. You know,
That's always
that
the problem, right? Is like you
those
get all this
systems,
stuff you're doing and yeah.
it just moves too slow for me. You know, I'm more active. If I think have an idea, I want it to happen next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you again so much. Now we'll shift over to Jane Adams. I'm so sorry, Jane. I don't know why that keeps popping up on my stuff, but
You,
oh, you're muted. Yep.
sorry. Okay, there we go. So I don't use Zoom that much, so give me a moment to get it ready here. Okay. Where? Shoot. Where is this? I'm sorry, you might have to help me with where it is, the share. Oh, share right there. Okay,
Yep.
sorry. Okay.
No worries. No
Okay,
worries. Take your
there
time.
it is. Okay. And I apologize, this is not as polished as I'd like it to be, only because I was camping the last week and just got back into civilization. So can you see it? Oh, share.
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
there we go. Okay. I'm gonna get there eventually. Okay,
There we go.
let's get this big. Present. Yeah, thank you for bearing with me. Allow. Okay, you guys can see?
Looks
Yes.
good. Yep.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so just a little bit about myself. I'm the sales and marketing director for FarmLink Hawaii. I've been with the company almost a year or a little bit over a year. I just had my anniversary. Prior to that, I was a sales director at Foodland for about 7 years. And then prior to that, I was a department manager at Whole Foods. So I've worked here in Hawaii, in Kahala. So I've worked in the food system in Hawaii for all my adult life, almost 20 years. And it's been really interesting to just see the consumer growth of demand for local. And I told Rob, our founder, when I got hired at FarmLink, this is my dream job. Like that has always been my favorite part of working in grocery stores is being able to support local. And I was so happy to really like bring all the skills that I had learned, like business skills with Foodland and Whole Foods, and hopefully help have a more direct impact working with the food hub. Yeah, so a little bit about us. I just used this screen. This is a screen. I did a presentation a little bit ago with students from Nuano Elementary and the Aina for Schools program with Kukua Foundation. And I just was trying to sum it up really simple of what FarmLink is and kind of what a food hub is. And really, this is it. You know, we work with farmers and food producers, and the food goes from them to FarmLink and then to your house. So we are a little bit different than some of the other food hubs. We do not produce anything other than some in-house products like butter, some meat fabrication, and then the products of that like lard and bone broth. But as far as growing, we do not have a farm. We only source. So we are a little bit different in that regards than some of the other food hubs in the Food Hub Hui and the islands. The other difference is we're a for-profit company. We kind of operate like a nonprofit in some ways, but we are a for-profit company. So that is a bit of a difference from some of the other food hubs that in the islands. So even though we are a for-profit company, it was really important that as we, kind of found ourselves, that we had some core values. And these are ones that we really do want to walk the walk and talk the talk. So, being having integrity and being radically transparent with everything, both with our supply partners, our team, our customers, even if it makes us a little uncomfortable. Like, we want to be as real as possible. And we found that customers actually really respond to that. Just being honest about why something's out of stock. Well, it's out of stock because it was raining all last week and the blueberries molded, and that's why. And I'm sorry, but we don't have anything else to offer you. Quality, we're very prioritizing on making sure what we sell is safe and meets social and ecological standards, as well as how employees are treated. So we're very careful about making sure everyone that we've worked with, that we have a very close relationship with, and that they're supporting their community as well. Partnership, interdependence. We value all members of our all of our stakeholders, and we really are trying to do whatever we can in our small part to remedy some of the systemic imbalances and grow our overall collective abundance here in Hawaii. Okay, let's see. Oops. Oh no, I'm going the wrong way. Okay, let's see. Sorry. There we go. Okay. And because I'm also in marketing, and marketing is actually just a big part of how we grow our customer base. These are our brand pillars when we do anything with marketing, any of our campaigns, whether it's social media or in real life events. We are fiercely committed to local, always celebrating the food and the quality, as well as the producers of the food. Always talking about our interdependence and our broader community, and then always just being fun and joyful, because food is something that brings people together and really unites everyone. So those are all things that we're always trying to touch upon when we do marketing, and just about marketing in general. And that's something I found that has made us really helped us out, is having a very clear marketing plan. Like I said, I've been here about a year. About a year prior to that, we had started really investing in marketing. We were working with some third-party companies, but doing like strategic Instagram posts, being a little more intentional, and also using some paid strategies, because we're not a brick and mortar store. We don't even have at this point a farmer's market stand. People have to find us online. So having a clear marketing strategy has been really important, because we don't have the benefit of somebody just driving by and, oh, what's FarmLink? I'll check it out, or seeing us at a farmer's market. We are completely either online marketing or word of mouth. Since I've been in this role, I have really tried to develop, and are continuing to develop, an internal team of marketing support staff, so we can do more in real life events. I feel like the online presence is important and has served its mission, but we've definitely hit the ceiling. I mean, we only serve Oʻahu, so we're only at most gonna get 1 million people, and we're relying on targeting only people who are using social media, which we know a lot of people don't. We also know that word of mouth and coconut wireless here in Hawaii is so important. Like, we really want to, in this next phase of marketing, work on in real person connections. So that's my little pitch about marketing. But I feel overall, just in general, that is something that I think could benefit all food hubs, is just having more stronger marketing, because general people, consumers, a lot of them, you ask them what a food hub is, and they are like, what? I mean, I've worked in grocery stores my whole life, and I will admit I didn't know what even a food hub was until probably about 5 years ago. So yeah. Okay. So this is like our winning aspiration. We have this posted all over. We talk about it, and again, like we really, I think, especially because a lot of us came from corporate backgrounds. Like, we don't want to just say this stuff and then like, like, we really want to live it. So this is something like we're always talking about and are always guiding our decisions. Like, we want to empower Hawaii residents, businesses, and institutions to contribute to a robust local food system. So we do that by building meaningful relationships with food producers that are reciprocal, that we're not just taking and not giving back. We are helping them get access to resources, to aggregate, and that the idea is that as we grow, they grow in a stair step with us. We're also committed to improving accessibility with more convenient delivery options, eventually a brick and mortar. We deliver island-wide. So if you live in the back of Makaha Valley, or you live in Ka'ava or Tantalus, we will deliver to you. And we believe that because we want to make sure everyone has access to fresh local food. And then of course, we also accept EBT. That is also a core part of our business, is accepting EBT and making sure it's not just for rich people who shop at Whole Foods, even though Whole Foods doesn't really even do local anymore. But and then again, like, our marketing strategy is that we just really want to reinforce the joy and the meaningfulness of belonging to a food system, and how as a consumer you are a part of a food system when you purchase from a food hub, and that the inconsistencies or the struggles or the challenges of having to maybe put up with things being out of stock, or having to purposely plan your meals because it's not as convenient as just going to Costco. But that's part of the freshness and the vibrancy and the connection to land and people, and really having customers and consumers understand that and embrace it. And that when you shop with food hubs, we're building something together. So this is something too that a tool that we use, but again, it just highlights kind of the things that we need. Some of it is in our control, some of it is less in our control. But the big one that, especially from a marketing standpoint, that we really have been focusing on, we also have a customer service team that talks to customers every day, is really just getting customers to have their shopping habits, and then understand that their aspirational want to support local does come with some constraints and caveats. Steve, I think you had said, like, we just need more people wanting local. And when we talk to customers, like, we do customer surveys, that's the number one thing they always say is they like our mission and they like supporting local. We find that what hinders them from aligning their purchasing, because like you had said, like, you got to ask yourself, like, how much are you actually buying local? And I think a lot of people are buying a lot less than they think, even the ones that do purchase. And it's just there's trade-offs. And when we talk to customers and explain why certain things are out of stock, or why we can or cannot do certain things, they understand. Like, there are constraints, and this is an emerging industry, and it's not as easy as just ordering from Costco or going to Walmart or Costco. Just getting really consumers to understand that connection of where their food comes from, which I think as a society we've lost for a lot of people. Another thing though that we really want to try to work on is getting better forecasting tools to help have more accurate production planning, reducing spoilage, improving availability, and just overall being more efficient. And that's something where it's very cost prohibitive. Like, we really are struggling with that. But we know that that would be something that really could help. Yeah. So just a little bit of background about us. We were started in 2015. This is a picture of Rob Barreca. He's one of our founders. his background was actually in tech. He kind of he just kind of got disillusioned with it. So joined the Go Farm program at UH, became a organic farmer, still co-owns a organic banana farm on the North Shore. FarmLink came about because he realized he was spending a lot of his week driving to town from North Shore, to deliver to restaurants and retailers. And he was realizing that a lot of his farmer friends were doing the same thing instead of focusing on running their own farms and fields. So FarmLink really began as a consolidation and aggregation of farmers, mostly to wholesale accounts. And then COVID happened. They were doing, and this was all prior to me being there, but they were doing some small bit of direct to consumer, but really during COVID, it transitioned very quickly because, like Steve and Maureen had mentioned, like wholesale dried up overnight in COVID. So a lot of things that they were doing with wholesalers transitioned to direct to consumer. So currently, today, we do about 3,000 to 4,000 orders per month and serve all of Oʻahu. 30% of our retail customers are EBT, and that is a growing number. We really are trying to reach as many EBT customers as possible to let them know that this is an option that they can have, and they have a lot of buying power with the debucks program. As I mentioned, during COVID, we transitioned to mostly direct to consumer, and currently that is about 80 to 90% of our retail. We also work with restaurants, some schools, some smaller charter schools, some health centers and hospitals, and food access partners to provide both wholesale items as like a case of zucchini or dragon fruit, but also things like specially curated boxes, like food prescription programs, or for students that, are learning about a certain thing, or we do a lot. Currently, we have over 2,000 items across a wide range of categories. So we have produce, of course, meat. We fabricate everything in-house. So we receive whole or primal cuts, mostly whole cuts of animal, and then we fabricate it in-house. Dairy items, grocery, snacks, beverages. We also have a liquor license, so we sell alcohol, as well as some household items like lotion or cleaning items. And we work with over 400 food producers statewide. And let me know how I am on time. Okay, so this is,
Yeah.
oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, I just want to let you know, yeah, we have about 6 minutes left
Okay,
for
perfect.
the duration of the webinar. And if we don't get to all the Q&A stuff for everybody, we can look at them later and have you folks email replies and share with the group what the questions and answers were. So
Okay.
please go ahead.
I'll go fast though.
No
This is just okay. This is really quick. We just did at the end of last year a survey to our producers. We specialize and really are proud that we work with small to mid scale. So as you can see, a lot of them do very small. The ones that have acres and are growing, it's less than 5 acres, and about 90% have an annual business revenue less than 2 million. So these are small scale and mid scale farmers. And this is a picture of Jimmy. He's our supply chain director, and Brian Otani on Maui. So our challenges are very similar to what Maureen and Steve had said as far as labor. We do have 39 employees, most of them here on Oʻahu. We do have 2 routers who help with our routing back east just because of the time zone. But we have a wide range of backgrounds working for us. Labor is one of our biggest challenges. We want to pay fair wages, but it's so competitive, and places like Amazon that are right down the street from us, or hotels, it's very hard to stay competitive. We also don't want to undercut our suppliers or our core values, but that comes at a a balance of also being profitable and efficient. There's a lot of things that we do that are very complicated operational wise. And there's a reason for it. A lot of it is because we want to support the producers that we're buying from. So we'll get like mangoes, like in this picture here. It's not a very good picture because they're all the same size more or less, but we want to accept the biggest offering from the suppliers. So we will get mangoes that are 3/4 of a pound and then 3 pounds, while a traditional retailer may have a spec that they needed in a smaller range. But that means now we have to sort it. Now I have to have different SKUs that have to be inventoried. It's a balance of what's efficient, but what's also supporting our producers, partners. Also just getting the word out, finding the right kind of people that are aligned aspirationally, but also willing to just like be a little bit scrappy and make it work and kind of roll with the punches. It can be a little challenging. Our physical inventory, infrastructure, honestly, like we could do so much more if we had more space, especially frozen. We have about a walk-in closet size of frozen. We are very, very, very blessed to have a sizable chill as well as kind of a temperate chill, but our frozen, we are definitely limited on what we can do with frozen. And I think that's the case with a lot of food hubs. A lot don't even have any frozen facilities. Trucks as well, like that is something we pride ourselves on, as being able to deliver island wide and really help some of the other food hubs on our island that don't have as many vehicles. But oh my gosh, the headache of these vehicles of breaking down and accidents, and also just the risk involved. Like there's so many things. We did start using third-party delivery at times. Otherwise, we would have had to put a cap on how many orders, but it's not great option. I mean, we don't have the customer service, we don't have the connection of doing it ourselves, but we at this point are doing that to help continue to allow as many customers to order every day. And then of course, just the cost. It's one of our biggest costs is delivery. Luckily, most of our customers order enough to cover the costs, but about 30% do not. We also do free delivery to EBT customers. And fortunately, right now, that is the cost of that is being funded by a nonprofit grant. That and the debucks reimbursement is crucial. If we didn't have that support with those grants or those policies, like we may not be able to cover that cost. I think I'm almost done. And then just interdependence, like our collective Polina is very important to us. Like we want to focus on doing what we're good at, which we feel is like distributing and aggregation of resources and marketing. But we also don't want to step on anyone's toes. We very much want to have a collective mindset that growth across everywhere is important, and we're never trying to compete. We use other food hubs and farms, including local harvests and adaptations, to purchase from and provide for Oʻahu customers. And then we also try to consolidate as much of the costs for our producers. Sorry, I know we're almost done. And then, like I mentioned at the beginning, I think one of the biggest challenges for us to really grow to the next level is tech stuff. We're really sophisticated in a lot of ways, but we don't have any sort of central ERP system. So we are basically held together by Google Sheets and manpower and a lot of custom made codes and syncs. Luckily, a lot of us are pretty tech savvy, but it's lots of manual things that take a lot of time. So if we had a more centralized system that integrated things more seamlessly, it would allow us more time to do other things, to grow, to get more producers. So, and then just real quick, I think the things that we need the most is just support for the actual food makers, so ranchers and farmers. They face so many economic challenges, just things that would make it easier for them to be more viable. And then policies to help bolster the retail segment of consumers. Like I said in the beginning, most consumers want to buy local. They understand the importance, but they have to make choices and they can't shop as aspirationally as they'd like to support the producers that they want to. And I think we really need institutions that have high purchasing power to kind of fill in that void while the retail segment grows. Like the DOE this summer was a great example that really helped us out with the Umeke Aipono boxes. So that's it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jane. Thank you, everybody. Just a wealth of knowledge and information, and we're just so grateful that you folks are out there doing the work that you're doing. And I think one of the constant themes in a lot of this food systems work is just that people need to make really good choices, and there's a little self-sacrifice involved to get our food system to, you know, to be a robust, resilient food system like I know we all want. And it's interesting to just think about food. And I think people need to probably do that a little bit more. I mean, myself included. And time is always just ticking away and causing us to make these faster choices that don't seem to really be beneficial to our system. So I apologize, we are over on time. We have a bunch of stuff in the Q&A feature. Maureen, you're amazing. You answered, like, powered through tons of those questions and gave a lot of really thoughtful answers. So thank you. I'll send those out to Steve and Jane as well. And please feel free to contact everybody here, our guests, and I will get this video processed and out to everybody with questions and hopefully a flyer to our next event as soon as possible. So thank you again, everybody, for your time, and I hope you all have a beautiful day. Mahalo.